Charlotte, North Carolina, Gastonia, Rock Hill, York, Shelby, surrounding areas everywhere.
Maiden, Salisbury.
Yeah. Welcome to another episode of Under Construction. I'm Kaiser Sose. Over there is Jamal, the Angry Black Fan, Darby.
What's up, y'all?
And we're gonna talk some football today. Let's just hop right into it. Carolina Panthers play the New England Patriots in week 2 of the preseason Friday. They lost 20-10, but the score was not indicative of the game at all to me. For one, the Patriots played their starters at the beginning. The Panthers did not. PJ Walker started the game at quarterback, and then Matt Corral came in to play cleanup, finish the game off. Real interesting considering that was the dynamic of the game. Our bench guys and versus the Patriots starters essentially. Yeah, they not all of their starters played, but essentially it was their ones against our 2s and 3s. Jamal, your thoughts on the game in general before we dig into the nuance?
Really hard to kind of analyze this game. I will say this. I was pretty impressed of the fact that our 2s, mainly on defense, really gave Mac Jones and the Patriots a lot of trouble in that first quarter. They competed as if they were the starters. And if you didn't have a sheet of paper telling you who was out there playing, you probably couldn't tell because it was a pretty evenly played game, mostly up until the fourth quarter, man. I thought our defense was very impressive, man. I thought Mac Jones was frustrated out there. I thought we put some good pressure on him. I thought the secondary played great. I thought quarterback play was decent, although there was a ton of us not finishing drives, which was the story of this entire game with the offense, man. But the fact that we competed with Bill Belichick's ones was pretty doggone impressive, man. I have to give him that.
No, yeah, I agree. I'll be honest, I was kind of surprised in the first quarter how well the Panthers played. And I know it's preseason, it doesn't count, but I felt like offensively, like you said, finishing was the big problem, but I felt like we ran the ball well. I felt like the play calling to be preseason was pretty good. Yeah.
Right.
And I did feel like the defense, I was really surprised at the pressure that the defensive line was able to get against Mac Jones. Mac Jones did not look comfortable. He did have a great throw. I think it was in the second quarter on really, on burnt coverage more than anything. But otherwise, they did a good job. They kept him off the spot. They kind of stifled the Patriots offense there in the first half.
Yeah, no, and the thing, again, man, this is preseason, man, and everything is very vanilla. You're not going to get, Belichick or any other coach for that matter. They're not going to give you their best looks. They're not going to try to fool you. You know what I mean? So everything is pretty vanilla, but everything's pretty vanilla on the defensive end too. It's not like we was, bringing exotic blitz packages. In the preseason, it's mono for the most part, man. And even with that being said, like just knowing that our 2s could match up very well against their 1s was still very impressive, man. Our rookie, his name is escaping me right now, man. Brad Smith. Smith, the linebacker. I was very impressed by the way he played, man. I think he could end up being a steal. Brandon Smith. I apologize. I think he could end up being a real steal for us, man. I kind of like his action on the field or when he was on the field, man. So I'm very encouraged. At the way our young guys play. Depth will matter. Because we know guys are going to go down, you know what I mean? Matt Rule has preached this offseason that he does not care who's on the field this preseason. He wants to win these games, and he wants to get that winning culture started right away, man. So every little thing counts, and I'm very happy with what I see by guys who probably are going to see some defensive snaps going into the season, man.
Yeah, I agree. The preseason is all about the twos and the threes and assessing your depth for the season. And we said this last week. I'm good with the Panthers' depth. I think it looks. I still feel like the O line though is
Questionable.
it might be improved from last season, but based on the first 2 weeks of preseason, I'm gonna say baby steps.
Okay, all right. So, Kaiser, here's something a little encouraging. Here's something just a tad bit encouraging about the offensive line, and maybe it's wishful thinking on my part, but here is something to think about, man. Understand, Icky and Brady Christensen on the left side, like they're going to be constants in the preseason because you want your young guys to get snaps, obviously, right? But the right side of the offensive line hadn't really played much, so the starting unit as a whole hasn't played together really at all during this entire preseason, man. I'm interested to see what we look like when all five stars on the line actually play together. Taylor Moton didn't play yesterday. I think Christensen and Icky were the only two starters that actually played yesterday. And somebody could correct me if I'm wrong. But, I mean, I'll take it for right now. And again, it may be wishful thinking, but we don't see our O-line at full strength just yet.
Yeah, that's an important note. Oh, a lot of times offensive lines are all about chemistry. I mean, maybe not more than talent, but I think you could take a bunch of solid offensive linemen, and as long as they have the chemistry, they'll play better than a bunch of more talented guys that just don't play well together.
Right.
You got to have a good center to hold it all together. I'm not sure if the Panthers have that. And that's one of those things where time can tell. But the Patriots did have 5 sacks yesterday. And
two of them against the rookie.
Yep. So I still feel like the offensive line, the depth, I don't think the depth is there like it is with the other units.
Right. Now that I can agree with. That I absolutely agree with. And so it's going to be that much more important to keep all 5 of those guys healthy, if anything else, man.
Well, I mean, it's going to be tough. I mean, every team, the offensive line is going to just have, they're just going to have a lot of injuries because you're down in the trenches. And that seems to be something the Panthers just can't shake. Maybe over the last 30 years, just any kind of consistency on our offensive line. Like the one year we had a great offensive line, we go to the Super Bowl and Cam Newton has a MVP season, and we haven't had that since. So, all right. So people are already talking about in the comments. Let's just get to
it.
Okay. All right. So
the subject to get to.
Yeah. So PJ Walker and Matt Corral both played. Now Matt Corral did go down with a Lisfranc injury. They're saying he will probably be out for the season, which is, I mean, that solves Matt Rule's quarterback issue, right? Now we don't have to try and run out and trade PJ Walker. But having said that, it's not like he was like exactly lighting it up before. And I don't think either guy actually was doing all that well against the Patriots. PJ Walker did throw 2 interceptions. Their box scores somewhat similar. PJ Walker 8 for 15 for 107 yards. Matt Corral 9 for 15 but for 58 yards. The major difference is PJ Walker was throwing longer, averaging 7 yards per completion, where Matt Corral was under 4 yards per completion.
Yeah, and PJ Walker threw it to the other team a couple of times as well.
2 interceptions. He was sacked 4 times as well. Did we see anything from either of these guys?
From Matt Corral, you did see an improvement from the last week. And last week was kind of an outlier because you're basically throwing a rookie into the fire, you know what I mean, with the 4th string O line and the weapons that he probably didn't even have yesterday. So I don't even really count last week for Matt Corral, man. It's just too many factors to not be successful for a rookie quarterback to kind of just be thrown into, man. But I will say slight improvement from last week for Matt Corral, man. I do think he showed a little more poise when he was faced with pressure. You see the 4 yards of per throw. I'm not mad at that, especially for a rookie quarterback. Man, take the easy throw instead of forcing the throws like PJ Walker did to ultimately lose us the damn game, man. And I'm trying not to be so passionate about a preseason game, but I just want PJ Walker to be past that. You know what I mean? Like I just think we're at the point where PJ Walker needs to be past some of these just insane throws he makes sometimes. And I kind of feel like PJ Walker kind of needs to have the poise even the rookie has, if that even makes sense, man. And like the two interceptions PJ Walker threw yesterday, I just scratch my head and just say to myself, like, if you keep doing that, man, you're not going to be in the league very long. And I'm so hard on him because I actually think PJ Walker has a lot of arm talent. I actually think he can throw the football. It's just some of the decisions he makes are head scratchers.
Yeah, he's some quarterbacks are like that. He's a gunslinger, and he always wants to make the play. And plus, when you are PJ Walker, seems like the kind of guy where he feels like he's got something to prove in the league,
right?
And so he's gonna go out and try and prove it. I don't think, I'll be honest, he's not content being like a backup quarterback. Who would be? I don't think he's content. You think he doesn't look at Sam Darnold and think, man, I'm better than that guy?
Right.
Regardless of whether he actually is or not, he probably feels that.
So do you think, with that being said, he tries to do too much, maybe?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. We saw that last week. He missed an easy first down on 4th and 1 that he literally could have moved past the marker, and instead he tries to go downfield to a cover receiver. And the Panthers, have to settle for a field goal. That's when we were talking about finishing. That's the kind of stuff you have to say, okay, what's the best play to make? Sometimes the best play is throw for 4 yards instead of going downfield and throwing the pick. And it's like PJ Walker, I think, has been in the league long enough to know that. The problem is that when you're not when he doesn't get the reps or the PT that another player is gonna get, so he feels like he's got to show and prove every time he's out there. He's got to learn that sometimes, like, not turning the ball over is enough to show and prove.
Hey, Kyle, I want to get to something Mr. Anthony Badillo said. Anthony, what's up, man? Glad to have you on, man. Is Matt Rule mismanaging the quarterbacks this preseason? What do you think about that?
I don't know. I mean, so last week we said we both expected PJ Walker and Matt Corral to get a lot of snaps. They both did. It's unfortunate what happened to Matt Corral the very last series of the game.
Right.
You get your foot stepped on, and now your season's over. But I mean that is something. I mean, that could not be foreseen. That injury. I felt like both guys got a chance to go out there. Matt Corral, went up against, at that point of the game, by the time he came in, New England had pulled most of their starters. I thought that was a good opportunity for him to go out, and I do think he did play better than last week. A lot of good decisions. I didn't see anything wrong with the way the QBs were managed this week. If anything, the only criticism I can level on Matt Rule is, like, just come out and name the starter, dude. Just come out and say that it's.
Speaking of that, I'm glad you brought that up, because as of yesterday, the headline reads, Matt Rule does not want to name the starter. Come on, dude. We know. We knew a month ago who the starter was. And I'm with you as far as just levying the criticism as far as that goes, man. Like, just stop messing around and give Baker Mayfield this job. But I don't even want to say give Baker Mayfield a job. I think he's earned the job. Let me put it like that. So I don't even know why we're doing this whole, I don't know if I want to name the starters yet, and we're still battling. Nah, bro. We know who the starter is.
I think the politics and optics of the situation is why he's playing that so close to the vest. Sam Darnold makes $19 million a year.
A lot of money. Yep. Yeah. Gave him a lot of picks for that guy.
Yeah. You want to give the illusion that he's still in the running. He's not. He's not. You don't bring in Baker Mayfield to sit behind Sam Darnold for a few games. I don't think we're going to do that. I think Matt Rule's going to name Baker the starter, and that'll be it. He'll be the starter.
And that'll be it.
If he gets injured. As far as putting a rookie quarterback behind third and fourth stringers, first of all, it's the preseason. I'm okay with quarterbacks not getting first team reps during a preseason game. Okay?
Right.
I'm perfectly okay with that. I'm actually okay with them not getting those reps during scrimmages or practices. The quarterback position is the most valuable position, maybe in all of sports. You want to protect that guy while you can. You kind of know what Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold are going to offer you. They're not like an enigma anymore.
Right. They're veterans at this point, both of them.
So they're getting those timing reps in practice. As far as during the game, I'm completely okay with those guys not playing. I'm also okay with any rookie quarterback, playing behind the threes and the fours. I mean, let's be honest, playing with the threes and the fours, Matt Corral didn't exactly have a Drew Brees game. Imagine how he would have played. I mean, I don't think he would have necessarily played any better against New England's first team. He might have played a little better with other his offensive first team players, but having said that, he didn't because PJ Walker is a step above him on the depth chart. So PJ Walker got that start. I would have expected if he hadn't gotten injured that next week he was probably going to start. Next week, and then that'd be the end of that. That'd be okay. Preseason's over now. We're in the regular season. No one's even thinking about Matt Corral. In fact, we talking about practice, right? Matt Corral was not going to challenge Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold for the starting spot. Not this season, anyway.
Right.
Next season, if Baker Mayfield leaves in free agency, which we all expect him to do, okay, now you got a conversation. But this season was all about Baker versus Sam.
It's important to note, man, that we have not seen the quote unquote the dress rehearsal for this team in the first 2 weeks of preseason. Now, per our sister Carolina Blitz, the starters are supposed to play, take a lot of snaps for the last preseason game, and we can assume that is the quote unquote the dress rehearsal for the preseason game. Now it's a good segue because Swagner is asking us, are there any starters aside from CMC that probably should sit out this game? Now, my answer to that question, I think we've seen enough of Higgins, the wide receiver. I think he's probably had the most productive preseason, and Rashad Higgins, I don't think we need to see any more. I think Higgins has proved he is firmly the number 3 receiver, man. I think I've been very impressed with what he's brought to the table in the preseason. I don't think we need to see him anymore, quite honestly, man.
I don't see any of the starters. What do I need to see them for?
Well, we are going to see him, unfortunately.
I know we will, but I don't need to see him. The last thing we need is for anyone to get hurt. There was talk about J.C. Horn playing, like he was ready to go. Apparently, he's been ready to go. For some time. He wants to get on the field, and the team is like, nah, okay. No, I'm good with that. I understand you want to get, especially after the heated practices, the scrimmages between the Panthers and the Patriots all week. Now they want to get out there. They want to hit somebody. But I'm good. I'm good with no starters playing. Like one series, maybe. And I don't want to see McCaffrey doing anything but holding the damn clipboard next week.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to see CMC playing any point this preseason. No.
Yeah, so I'm good. We talking about practice.
And look, I was wincing when I heard he was in the Patriots little dust up. I'm like, what is he doing in there? Like, we don't need him.
Well, hey, they probably, So there was I can't remember the game. There was a hit. It was a helmet to helmet out of bounds hit in a last week, and there was a lot of discussion. I can't remember for the life of me, but there was a lot of discussion about what should happen to that player from both the league and the team, and why would you do this during preseason? But you got to realize football players, they have like this 4-month break in which they're not playing football.
Not playing football, right?
They're not doing anything. They're cross training, they're working out, they're keeping fit. And then the preseason comes and you play these scrimmages against other teams that you play the next week in preseason, which I think is dumb. But You have these practices with these other teams, but you can't really hit other guys. You gotta tone it down. You got the padded helmets on. Those guys are ready to hit something.
They got to get it. They got to get it out the system.
Exactly, and it's hard to hold back. So I think that what happened in that practice with CMC, somebody's like, hey, CMC kind of soft, because that's the narrative around the league, right? Dude can't take a hit, right? So I'm gonna give him a little something extra on this hit. Blow, you hit CMC. Now the Panthers know, we can't lose CMC. So, we ready to go to blows. And I mean, it's practice. We're talking about practice.
Now I want to. Here's something I was thinking about, man. Because I want to get your thoughts on this, man. Here's my opinion. I want to make sure I'm clear about that. No direct reports, anything like that, man. I'm starting to think, even in year 2, that Terrace Marshall may be on thin ice. And the word around camp is that they want to see him show up. And when I say show up, I mean literally show up. He hasn't been practicing. And we are talking about a second-year guy who does not have his role written in stone. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We're talking about a second-year guy who didn't produce much last season. So I'm saying all that to say is I really kind of believe he may be on thin ice a little bit, man, especially with the acquisition of Higgins this offseason. What are your thoughts on that, man?
Yeah, I'll say this. This is where Matt Rule has to prove that he's beyond college shit.
Right.
Okay. Ron Rivera, for all his faults, would never have stood for any of this kind of stuff. He sat Cam Newton because he didn't wear a tie. Okay. Right. That's the kind of guy Ron Rivera was. Ron Rivera, hard-nosed, old school.
Hey, Kaza, Ron Rivera wasn't as nice as people thought he was.
No, he was not. He was. I'm not gonna say he was a mean guy. The players loved Ron Rivera, though. I think they loved him because of that, though.
The tough love, yeah.
Right. They were like, look, this guy is all about winning, and the things that he is doing is because he wants to see the team win. Yeah. So Matt Rule is going to have to be more Rivera-like in dealing with Terrace Marshall Jr. because Terrace Marshall is really talented. He's not talented enough, though, to have, still one of your terms, equity to be doing the stuff that he's doing. You miss a whole week of practice for no real reason. They're saying he was saying he was sore and he maybe he's injured, maybe he's not. Nobody likes malingerers in football. Because especially during preseason, there's guys out there that are like, this is like their life. They got to make the team, so they're out there giving it their all. And here you are showing up, maybe not showing up or saying, hey, I'm injured and I can't play. You might not
you ain't Tom Brady. We need to know why.
Exactly. And then when you're called, and we know Matt Rule he'll throw somebody under the bus. Like he'll place the bus in front of you. And then time it perfectly. And he even said after the game, he called out Terrace Marshall. He said, we need him to practice. We need him to step up. And then he mentioned other guys that had great camps, Shi Smith and Rashard Higgins. When the coach is naming other people,
that's
he's
a bad sign, bro.
Yeah, you are you're in trouble because availability is the best ability, I think they say. So these two guys are available and they're playing great. Yeah, you have all this potential, but you're not even showing up for practices. Yeah.
In year two.
Yeah. And by the way, this is my job on the line. If the Panthers don't show and prove this year, then if I'm Matt Rule, I'm like, look, bro, what are you doing?
We need to have a sit down, right?
Yeah, right. And if you don't want to come correct, then I go see Scott Fitterer and be like, "Hey, this guy,
not it." So, hey man, one other thing I wanted to talk about specifically, man. So, Panthers Twitter, we are an emotional bunch over on Panthers Twitter, and Panthers Twitter lost their mind because this Icky gave up 2 sacks to a very good defensive end, by the way. And I'm thinking to myself, like, y'all, he's a rookie. Allow him to make these, I don't even want to say mistakes. He just gave up sacks to a good player, man. Allow him to do this in the damn preseason, man. I have no worries about how good he's going to be, man. I don't know, man. What were your thoughts on it?
So we very briefly we touched on the offensive line earlier. I think with more reps, with the line he's going to be playing with, he'll be better. This is when you want your players to make mistakes, not be bad. But
right.
Mistakes.
Right. There's a fine line between the two, man.
Right. So I don't think he played bad. He made mistakes, which you're always going to make against a better player. Remember,
absolutely.
What happens on the in the trenches is a lot of one-on-one stuff, and you're going to lose, especially a rookie. You're going to lose those battles a lot unless you just have the physical tools to overcome lack of experience. So that's okay. He makes those mistakes. They're going to look at the tape and they're going to correct. That's how it works. If he was having a perfect preseason, I would be a little bit scared because then that means that teams are going to be looking at the tape. Okay, why can't we get past this guy? Oh, here's why. And I'd rather that not rear its head in week 4 or week 5 or when the Panthers really need to be winning games in the middle of the season. Get that stuff out of the way now. Now, if he's still having these issues 3 weeks into the season, then okay, all right. Well, maybe we need to look at some stuff, but it's not a big deal. This is what preseason's for, right?
Yeah, it's not like you're Cam Irvin who makes a mistake every other down, and you're in year 4 or whatever. So it's not like you're that guy, man. I listen, man. Cam Irvin, Florida State guy. I'm a Florida State dude, man. There was a series where Cam Irvin almost gave up a sack. He got a penalty, and then he gave up a sack. It's just time to cut bait. Dude. I don't know what to say, man. Like Cam Irvin and Michael Jordan, not Hornets Michael Jordan, y'all. Michael Jordan at the guard for the Panthers. Who's the other one, man? The left guard from last year. Whatever. Yeah. The point I'm trying to make is it may be time to just move on outside of just having some depth on the offensive line. I guess that's what I'm trying to get to, man.
You know what I hate to see from NFL players. Actually, I hate to see this in any sport, but particularly in the NFL because injuries happen all the time. So sometimes this feels like an out. I hate when a player is playing poorly and then suddenly they have this weird injury. Cam Irving is now they're saying he had an elbow injury Friday. So it's almost like, oh man, I couldn't give 100% because my elbow. Y'all got to check this out. No, dude, you just sucked, bro.
You were
terrible. Yeah.
Just be a man and say I played bad.
Yeah. Just say, I gotta do better. So I absolutely. We see it all the time. Like the dude gives up 8 sacks and then suddenly he's out the next game with a hamstring. Oh, word? Okay. Right. So, wow. So okay, real quick. Offensive, defensive MVPs from Friday night.
God, offensive MVP. Good Lord, man. I don't know.
The kicker, Zane Gonzalez, again, because he was the only person that scored on offense, right? He scored a field goal. The other touchdown was a defensive touchdown, right? So,
man, I'm going to go with Matt Corral just by default, man. Just because I really can't think of anybody else I'd give it to.
Yeah. Everyone was pretty
mediocre, regular,
not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I cannot give it to PJ Walker. I just refuse to. Like, not with those 2 interceptions he threw.
I'm gonna say Zane Gonzalez again. Another
second
week in a row. The kicker is the offensive MVP. We'll see. We'll see. We know the offense is still a work in progress. So I mean, the team told us this. I think the defense. We said this last week. the defense I think will be fine. The offense, and I think the offense will be fine too if they can get some cohesion on the offensive line. I think the defense is going to carry the season.
Which is par for the course because you hear every offseason that the defense is always ahead of the offense anyway. So it's kind of like, kind of expected, man. Defensive MVP. I'll ask you first. Who you got for defensive MVP?
I'm going to go with Brandon Smith. He had a sack, tackle for a loss. He had some tackles. I like what I see from him. He's exactly what we need in the middle now. I think he's gonna have a real good season.
Yeah, that was my pick, man. I also go with Julian Stanford as well. I guess as a co-MVP as well. I've kind of liked what I've seen from him for the 2 preseason games we've seen so far. So those are my 2 defensive MVPs. So I'll go 2 this week, man.
All right. So next week we play the Charlotte Bills, the Carolina Bills. What do you think is going to happen in that game? Do you think the starters are going to do you think it's going to be a normal dress rehearsal game like they did in the previous seasons, or do something different?
So other than the report that the starters are going to take a lot of snaps, we didn't really get anything specific. But, I mean, if I had to guess, I think we see a half. I actually think we see the first half of a lot of starters. I don't think everyone will play. You know what I mean? I don't think we'll see Christian McCaffrey. I don't think we'll see DJ Moore. I mean, at this point, he hasn't played all season, man. So all preseason. But I do think we'll see an entire first half of Baker and maybe Darnold and a lot of the starters. I'm hoping we do see the starting 5 on the offensive line that ultimately will start once this season. I do want to see that because I want to see if they have that cohesion going up against a very good Bills front. I don't even know if the Bills are going to play the starter, but it'll be a good test going up against the Bills, man. So hopefully we'll see that.
Yeah, it will be a good comment. We need to see if the D can stop the run consistently. It's something that we hadn't actually seen a lot in the preseason. Teams tend to not run a whole lot in the preseason because it leads to injuries, and a lot of times you're trying to evaluate quarterback play. So that's going to be a very, very key thing for this defense going forward. But I think Brandon Smith, I consider him a bit of a upgrade. I think he's going to be very solid. So I think that weak linebacker play last season also. I thought the defensive scheme was. I don't think you can have Hassan Reddick and Brian Burns on the outsides rushing the quarterback and not playing. I think those 2 things together led to the Panthers having a weak run defense up the middle. I think that will change a lot. And the Browns in week 1 will tell the story. They're one of the best running teams in the league.
Hey, look, man. Icky, welcome to the NFL. You got Myles Garrett week 1, buddy. Yeah,
that's gonna be a tough game. I think our defense is going to be the story of that game. I don't know if we'll win or lose. I'm not ready to make that prediction quite yet, but I think that the defense will be the story of that game. So, All right, now on to the other professional sports team. Something I want to talk about, something that I've noticed over the last month. Last week, the NBA released, like they do every year, their video, the top 100 dunks of last season. Guess who wasn't on the list?
But you got to be kidding me. You better not say it. You got to be kidding me. Ain't no way.
Miles Bridges was nowhere on the list of top 100 dunks. The only Hornets to make the list were that was Caleb Martin. Montrezl Harrell with the Melo Ball's alley-oop between the legs off the bat, which should have been like number 5 as far as I'm concerned. And then Kelly Oubre had a really good. He was like number 75 or something like that. But Miles Bridges wasn't on the list.
That's a bad sign.
Which is no coincidence. You just don't leave Miles Bridges off the top 100 dunks list, especially considering before the season started, they were giving Miles his own dunk videos on the NBA YouTube channel.
Right.
Also, a week before that, Houston Rockets player Jalen Green was seen. Yeah, it was either Instagram or TikTok video in which he was singing along to one of Miles Bridges' songs, and which is I don't even know how that's possible because I'll be but the internet.
Miles Bridges can't sing along with Miles.
Yeah, exactly. The internet came down on Jalen Green like, yo, he ended up having to delete the video and they were like, yo, how you sing along with Miles? Oh my God. And then a week before that, Draymond Green posted a video in which he was working out with Miles Bridges. They're both Michigan State guys. They both know each other. They typically work together in the offseason. And a lot of fans came down on Draymond Green for that. So my question to you is this. Does Miles Bridges deserve this blacklisting he's getting? Now, let's be clear. We've both agreed that Miles Bridges probably did what he's being accused of doing. At least it at least looks that way. And if the Charlotte Hornets wanted to part ways with Miles Bridges, even before his case, it looks like they're not going to do it. It looks like they're going to wait and see what happens. I think we've both agreed we'd be okay with the Hornets separating ways with Miles Bridges. But does he deserve this level of blacklisting from the league and the media?
I'm not going to answer that question directly. I'm going to say this. The league is playing it safe. I think the league will probably take the approach where they want to wait and see what happens. You know what I mean? They want the legal process to play out. The Charlotte Hornets are taking the same approach. Make no mistake about it, Kaz. I think me and you are in agreement with this. The Charlotte Hornets don't really want to let Miles Bridges go. I don't think they want to. I think they will drag this thing out as long as it drags out. And I think the league will do the same thing. But however, if you're the NBA, you can't really promote Miles Bridges right now due to, public opinion. He's guilty in the eyes of the public as far as I'm concerned. You know what I mean? We have the you have the court of law and you have the public opinion, and in the public, he's not looking too good right now. So I just think the league is playing it safe, and they're not going to do anything to raise Miles Bridges' profile right now. The timing of the optics would be pretty horrible if they were to do that right now, man. So to answer your question, man, I'm not going to say yes or no. I'm just saying they're probably just playing it safe at the moment.
Now let's say Miles Bridges, he goes to court, which, from what I understand, his court date has been pushed back to September 7th, which I thought was, I don't know the legal strategies, but I kind of think you'd want to get this out of the way before the season starts, as soon as possible.
Right.
And get back to normal, whatever.
I'm sure the Hornets do. Yeah. Correct.
But it's been moved back to September 7th. Let's say that either the charges are dropped or he's found not guilty, which actually he wouldn't even go to trial probably before the season started. But let's say something like that happened to where now, as far as the court of law is concerned, Miles Bridges is essentially exonerated for whatever reason that may be. And the Hornets say, well, the court said that he either didn't do it or they decided not to pursue it. So we're going to allow Miles Bridges back on the Hornets team. And let's say the NBA did not levy a suspension. Mm-hmm. Do you think the Hornets should do that? Because I'll remind you, for those who don't remember, the Carolina Panthers went through essentially the same thing with Greg Hardy. And Greg Hardy, his accuser, settled out of court. It never even went to court. They never even the North Carolina court system for crimes is a little weird because essentially a judge technically found him guilty without a jury, and then he opted for a jury trial because that's how it works in North Carolina. A judge can do that, and then you can request a jury trial. But in the midst of that, his accuser took a settlement, and then that was it. The charges were dismissed. The Carolina Panthers chose to essentially suspend Greg Hardy for the rest of the season, and then they waived him. So they kind of just cut ties with Greg Hardy, even though the court of law essentially said, he's not guilty.
Right.
What should the Hornets? Should we just be done with Miles Bridges, or should we say, okay, well, hey, the court of law said he didn't do it, so we're fine with that? The Hornets are not the Lakers and the Knicks. The Lakers and the Knicks could do that.
You just answered the question, Kaza. And that's the thing. I mean, unfortunately, it's not going to matter what the Hornets should do in that situation. It's going to come down to what they will do. And in that situation, I would bet my house they don't let him go, because what do the Hornets want? What do they want to do more than anything? They want to be relevant. They want to win, and I think they want to do that all. And I think they will look for any outs,
Right.
as far as Miles Bridges to do that. Hey, look, the court said that he didn't do it. He didn't do it. Let's move on. And they're going to just hope everybody forgets about it, which is a real possibility if we're being real about it. You know what I mean? So again, man, it's not about what they should do. It's about what they will do, man. And again, I think up until this point, if they have not let him go at this point, they don't really want to. And I'll even take it a step further. One more thing before you go. I'll even take it a step further. If Miles, I'm going to change the scenario just a bit here, Cosmo. If Miles Bridges is guilty, and it's a situation where he doesn't face any jail time, okay, I think the Hornets will still keep Miles Bridges, but they will go on an apology tour. They will promote that he's in these, I don't know, counseling classes, whatever you want to call it. They will go on an image repair tour from Miles Bridges. I believe that is how bad they want to keep that man, and that's just the belief.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think I just don't think they don't want to give him away for nothing, because they know that there are a lot of teams that will take Miles Bridges if he's not doing jail time. Right. Even if he gets a suspension, which he probably will get some small suspension from the league. Yeah. There are teams that will just say, fine, we'll sign you, and when that extension's over, you can come and give us 20 points a game. And the Hornets don't want to just let him go for nothing. I think that if it comes down to Miles Bridges doesn't do any major jail time, and let's say he receives a light suspension from the league, they'll find some way to move him and get something in return. They're not just gonna let the. Plus, also, I don't think Miles Bridges and his agent are just going to let the offer sheet void, because then he'd have to sit out for the season. And the Hornets did not rescind it because they didn't want him to be an unrestricted free agent. They didn't want to just give him up for anything. So I think he's going to sign that offer sheet, and then the Hornets are going to find some way to move him, which will be easy because he'll be on a cheap contract because he signed that offer sheet. I think it'll be easy to move him to a place that will say, we don't really care if he was accused of these things. I mean, you think LA, New York, Miami, New Jersey, Clippers, all them places, Detroit, we know the Pistons want Miles Bridges. They take him.
Kaza, we said this before, but could you imagine the reclamation project with him and LeBron James if he went to the Lakers? Oh my God. It would be disgusting.
Oh my
God.
Would
be so disgusting. I can see it on ESPN right now. I would throw up if that happens.
It's probably gonna happen. It's probably gonna happen. Also, here's another thing, and this is what's going to sting. No pun intended. Miles Bridges is gonna go somewhere else and be a really, really good player. And then you know what Hornets fans are gonna say, man, we messed that whole situation up, man.
No, we didn't.
That's what people are going on Reddit now. If you go to the Charlotte Hornets Reddit, which I don't recommend going to any subreddit, but if you go to the Charlotte Hornets Reddit, it's people in that Reddit essentially saying, look, the Hornets have been bad forever. I don't really care what Miles Bridges did.
Right.
If he's a good player, we should keep him.
But Kazu, I'll speak to that point just a bit. I mean, I'm not to be Captain Obvious, but all this literally could not have happened at a worse time. Number one, for obvious reasons, this happens the day before he's supposed to get his money. That's number one. But more importantly, this is coming at a time where we're in year 3 of LaMelo Ball, and we're in this very critical juncture of LaMelo Ball's career and what we have to do to surround him with a good team. That's not being talked about enough. And for this to happen right now is the worst possible timing. This offseason was probably the most important offseason in Hornets history, and it has turned into the worst offseason in Hornets history. And I don't think Michael Jordan and Mitch Kupchak should take the brunt of the blame for that. You cannot foresee someone being a dumbass. All of the dominoes were going to fall once we signed Miles Bridges. And I need people to understand that once again. It could not happen at a worse time, man.
Okay, so I've been agreeing with Shife too much here lately, so the world might be ending or something. I don't know, but yeah, I would trade for unprotected. For Donovan Mitchell, I do that. A lot of people will disagree, but
I would do that. I would do that.
It would keep the Melo Ball happy. To go to that point real quick, since we got a little bit of time. I wish I could know, or do you think that the Hornets are interfacing with LaMelo Ball directly about the future of the team in general? I think back to the Last Dance documentary when they talk about Michael Jordan. And essentially the team went to Michael Jordan and said, look, we're going to give you these guys and you're not going to like it, but trust us. We're going to give you these guys and we're going to win. Remember, Charles Oakley that was Michael Jordan's guy.
That's his guy. That was
his guy. And it's like, we're going to get rid of him and these other guys that look up to you and you love, and but we're going to be better. And they were. Yeah. They went and they got Horace Grant, they got Scottie Pippen, they got Bill Cartwright, they got all these guys, and they won all these championships. And Michael Jordan was happy because he let the team
do their thing. Yeah,
I'm wondering if they're having those same conversations with LaMelo. Like, look, man, let's sit down. What do you see the team going? And we're going to tell you how we see the team going, and then we'll meet in the middle.
That is a great question, but it's also a very complicated question because here's the thing, man. If you're telling the great Mike, and I'm talking about Michael Jordan, the basketball player, in let's just say year 5 or year 6 with the Bulls, and we're talking about Michael Jordan. We love us some LaMelo Ball, but we're talking about Michael Jordan. And to tell him, hey man, you're just gonna have to trust us. We know you're great. We know you're the GOAT. Hey, we're gonna do what we're gonna do anyway. My question to you, Kaiser, is: does that work in 2022 with these kids? And listen. That's not even an indictment on LaMelo Ball, because the thing is, we don't really know how LaMelo Ball is behind closed doors. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to indict the kid on something that I don't know of him. You get what I'm saying? But in general, talking about the way young kids are in NBA culture, I kind of feel like management kind of loses its power. We see what's going on with Kevin Durant. You know what I mean? We see what goes on with other star players around the league and how teams have to basically, I don't know, put their franchises in jeopardy just to keep these players happy. You know what I mean? Again, not saying LaMelo Ball is like that because we don't know that. But to me, it's just more of a complicated issue because of where we're at in this NBA culture. Now, to answer your question more directly, you do have to at least talk to your star. I think you do have to at least communicate, hey, this is what we're trying to do. You can offer us input, but ultimately we are management and we are going to do what we think is best for the team.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of like the approach of let us convince you.
Right.
Okay? Because, okay, that idea is great, but we really like these guys. Let us convince you via tape or statistical analysis or whatever. LaMelo Ball, actually, despite his dad, seems like a humble kid. He really does. Yeah. And I say that because his outward appearance is, he's flashy, he's got a lot of swag, he's self-confident, he appears arrogant, but I just think that he's just really confident. But I don't think the idea that I don't think that he would purposefully put the franchise in a bad place.
I don't think LaMelo Ball is a diva by any shot. I don't think he's Kevin Durant. I don't.
No, yeah. I think that he is genuine when he says, hey, I want to stay with a team and build them. And I do think that if that doesn't happen in 7 years, I think he's going to sign a rookie extension for max because you really going to turn down $75 million to go play with LeBron and Kevin? No, you're not going to do that. So He's going to sign that rookie extension. And by year 7, we've said this many times, if the Hornets have not built a contender around LaMelo Ball, then he should leave. He should leave. Right. I'll help him. I'll go to the airport. Sorry it didn't work out, LaMelo. Go get you a chip.
Go win.
Real quick. Toby Taylor asks, with Bridges, Hayward, Terry, what's the starting 5 look like without Bridges? I think PJ moves into that starting role. Yep. So I think we're going to see PJ, Hayward, Terry, LaMelo, and
I'm telling you, Plumlee's going to start game 1. I'm telling you, dude. I'm telling y'all. Don't get mad at me when it happens.
But you know what? His leads may be short. So I actually think Mitch may have learned a little bit from the James Borrego situation. Also, Clifford is a lot more experienced at being a head coach than Borrego was. So if your GM comes to you and says, we need to win games, but I want you to play the young guys at the same time, I think Steve Clifford might make a better – he's going to do what I think he'll ignore that for one. He'll be like, okay, whatever, Mitch. I'm going to do what I think is best for the team
to win games. Right.
And whatever that means. He's going to ignore
being that I have a 2-year contract, I need to,
Right. And so I think there may be a point in the season where he said, okay, I think Mark Williams needs to get these reps. And, that's what I think the starting 5 looks like. Oubre is a 6-man backup point guard. I don't know. It's not going to be James Bouknight, y'all. So, I don't know. I did see this rumor as well. Yes, I would do that. I would for Vucevic.
But I mean, look, quite simply, Vucevic is just a better basketball player than Kelly Oubre. I'm going to keep that very simple. So, on the strength of that alone, I'd probably.
Come on, man, Vucevic and LaMelo Ball. That's a pretty good combination. And moving Oubre gives James Bouknight the opportunity now to line up into that, the
wing position.
Yeah, the 2-guard spot that Oubre had before, and he can now get his playing time. And I think that's a great trade, actually. I just feel like, though, when you're trading with a team like Chicago, they're going to try and fleece a team like the Charlotte Hornets. They're like, oh, well, we know you guys need Vucevic, right? You guys really need a capable NBA center who is
we're not going to let them both in no less than 2 first-round picks.
Exactly. We're not just going to give up just Oubre. It's going to be Oubre and a first, and they'll want like probably JT Thor or somebody like that. So, but still, I feel like if you could get a guy like Vucevic, if you're the Charlotte Hornets, that makes you a player now.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're up there at least with the Knicks. At Hawks, you're in that. You're not up there with like Milwaukee, Boston, Miami, but you're now in that 4 to 6 range. I think with a player like Vucevic, if all you have to give up is Oubre, some young guy, and a pick.
Yeah.
So, okay, now finally I can disagree with Shife again. Whew, okay. He said Vucevic doesn't play D. Nobody plays D. Nobody plays defense. How come we don't? It's funny how like whenever we're like this center would be really good, he doesn't play defense. Really? Well, I don't see nobody getting on LaMelo Ball for not playing defense, or Terry Rozier, or like anybody. The Hornets defense sucks, and we have to stop. We have to get out of this mindset of like we need one good defensive player to turn the whole ship around defensively. No, we need a lot of good defensive players.
You need a whole different culture to
exactly. You need a culture of defense, which we don't have. And if our team right now is built around being an offensive juggernaut, which the Hornets are, the number 2 defense in the number 2 offense in the entire league, why not capitalize on that by putting a good center who can
a way better offensive center than Mason Plumlee.
Who can augment that. Yes, no, I agree. Vucevic does not play defense, but that's not what plus we have Mark Williams, who I think they drafted to be like a defensive type center. And trust Steve Clifford if he feels like, I think he's a defensive guy. So if he feels like Vucevic ain't cutting it offensively. He'll find some or defensively, and it's losing his games. He'll find some way to work Mark Williams into the rotation.
Hey, real quick, because I do want to ask you an off-topic question, but one quick thing on Clifford. The one thing that really excites me about Clifford, man, is he's proven that he can scheme around a bad defensive center. He's proven that with Al Jefferson. We were still a very good defensive team, even with the poor defensive player that Al Jefferson was, man. So that's one thing I'm pretty excited about with Clifford coming here.
I think defense is a culture thing. I mean, the Miami Heat have one of the best offenses defenses in the league. Like, are there players like really like these defensive like powerhouses?
Right.
Like, no. I mean, the Boston Celtics had it was funny during the NBA Finals. All you heard about was Boston Celtics #1 defense in the league, and it's almost like they forgot that Golden State was the #2 defense in the league.
Right.
And that actually ended up being the story of the series was Golden State's defense. Who is a big defensive stopper on Golden State? Yeah, Gary Payton the second, who didn't even play the beginning of the series. Like, Klay Thompson's not the guy he was.
You know what's funny, man? You look at the Warriors individually. We don't look at Steph Curry as some defensive stopper. We don't look at Klay Thompson as some defensive stopper. I've always said Andrew Wiggins, he plays when he wants to. I've always thought that about Andrew Wiggins. Kevon Looney is 6'8". Who's he stopping in the paint? Draymond Green, yeah, okay, we'll give him that one. Outside of Draymond, who is it?
Yes,
it's all about scheme, man.
Shife again. You must be on your meds today. Yeah, the Warriors have great perimeter defense. That is something that the Hornets lack. I will say this: LaMelo Ball has a great nose for the ball.
Yeah,
if he can clean up his defense, like his defensive decision making,
his on-ball defense.
He's a great defender.
Right. When LaMelo gets his on-ball defense straight, man, he is going to be a good defender. I agree with that, man.
Yep.
Hey, real quick, Kaza. Guess what, man? I just gave you an imaginary $101 million, man. You can check your Cash App. You got $101 million in there, man.
Nice.
Deutsche Bank just said, you know what? Hey, we just made this bid for the Epicenter, but this other rich guy, Kaza Sose, said he's gonna scoop up the Epicenter, man. You just outbidded Deutsche Bank for the Epicenter. So now that you've done that, what are you gonna do with the Epicenter, man? What is your vision for the Epicenter now that you own it now?
Oh boy.
I just threw that one on you. I kind of like that.
Yeah, that's kind of tough. Okay, so I think the Epicenter was mostly fine with what it was.
Right.
The problem is that a few things, COVID being one.
Yeah.
Two, the Epicenter became this center of exclusivity within the city. They were like you couldn't go in there if you weren't dressed right. It wasn't like the Epicenter was not like that when they first opened it, but there were certain places that like you didn't go, and it became overly trendy. So if you could find a way to have that same kind of nightlife that the Epicenter presented to the city without like having this classism in it, then then it would succeed. But the Epicenter, I've been to the Epicenter quite a few times, and it was cool. Actually, you remember when I had my very loud car? I used to cruise down College Street, windows down, because it would be people everywhere, like on like a Thursday night. It was like the place to be. Yeah, people coming from the Hornets games or going to the Hornets games. It was super. It was really dope to see that kind of nightlife in Charlotte. But then it kind of became, hey, you want to go to the Epicenter? Oh no, like you got to wear dress shoes to go to whatever. You to go to the bowling alley. Like the bowling alley had a dress code.
Right.
It's like you can't have that. You have to make it more inclusive.
Let me say that, man. They eased up on that once they realized that the black dollar and the brown dollar is still the green dollar. They eased up on that.
Funny, like things changed during the CIAA weekend.
Things really changed when there was some more money involved, man. But
it was very weird how that happened.
Yeah. but I guess to answer my own question, man, variety. You have to have the same variety that you have.
That's true.
And you spoke eloquently about the classes. I mean that has to go. I mean, it has to be inclusive for everybody. I just think the variety of retail, you got to add more retail because Charlotte has been clamoring for any type of retail downtown anywhere. We have not had that since whatever that damn mall was the day.
City Fair.
Yeah, City Fair. Thank you. We haven't had it since City Fair in the early 90s, man. So you got to have a variety of retail clubs.
The epicenter was a little bit of lack of foresight from developers at the time when they built it. There weren't a lot of people wanting to live downtown or close to downtown or on the light rail. And when the reason City Fair failed was because of Carolina Place Mall opened around the same time. South Park had just done a major renovation. Northlake wasn't around at that time, but Concord Mills was being built. Why would you go downtown to shop if you can
go in your neighborhood?
Yes, you just go to. Carolina Place is literally in a residential area. Northlake is, for the most part, now as well. South Park is right smack dab in the middle of the Sharon Amity section of Charlotte. Why would you go downtown to shop? So City Fair failed because no one wanted to go downtown to shop. Now people want to go downtown to shop because if you live in First Ward, why would you drive all the way to South Park or Carolina Place Mall, which is really far, or Northlake, which is really far, when you could just go downtown because you live in First Ward? So you're right. They need some kind of diversity, a little more retail. You can't have the same kinds of restaurants. I really like Whiskey River. Whiskey River was
that's it. Whiskey River.
Yeah, that was Dale Earnhardt Jr. spot. It was a dope spot, but then every restaurant at the epicenter wanted to be like Whiskey River because they were so successful. I don't want to leave Whiskey River and go to another Whiskey River. Like, I don't want to do that.
Why would I go to Whiskey River and then go to Wild Wing Cafe?
Exactly. That's actually happening all over Charlotte. We're seeing it in Plaza Midwood. Plaza Midwood used to have you could go to Snug and then Thomas Street. Those are two completely different places, two different spots.
You mean you could go to Soul Gastro Lounge and get sushi, and go to Thomas Street Tavern and get wings,
or you could go across the street to Peculiar Rabbit if you want to feel kind of bougie. You have all these different type spots. Yeah, and on Plaza Midwood, especially with Soul closing down, it's the same thing that they have the epicenter, the same thing. Yeah. So, hey, I hope the epicenter does well in its reincarnation, but this city does not have a good track record of that kind of stuff. So,
yeah, unfortunately, that is correct. Yes, sir. All right, man, we got shout-outs.
Actually, I'm gonna give a shout out to sports media, particularly Fox this week. Every day this week and some of last week, Undisputed, Skip and Shannon have done a segment on the Carolina Panthers.
What?
Yeah, every week. Go on their YouTube channel. Every week.
You do know what that is, right?
Well, that's the Baker Mayfield effect.
That is the Baker Mayfield effect.
Yeah, because that's what they're talking about is Shannon Sharp is a Sam Darnold guy, and Skip Bayless is a Baker Mayfield guy. So they debate, but it's just kind of weird to see them talking about the Carolina Panthers, which that's just kind of. So I'm gonna give them a little shout out because we need all the, and it's not completely negative. It's not like the Hornets getting pressed this summer.
Right.
This is like a quarterback controversy, which we haven't really had in Charlotte with the Panthers in a while.
Even though it's really not, but yeah.
It's not. Swagner says it's not necessarily a good thing. I don't know. I feel like, there's no such thing as negative press. At least people are talking about us, and they're not saying we're the worst team in the league.
Right. Yeah, at least Skip Bayless is not calling David Tepper the worst owner in sports, so it could be worse.
Yeah. No, he's not. Hey, if Charlotte FC proves anything.
Hey, time out. Anthony Badillo, you are on to something, bro. Yeah, put that up again, Kaiser. Put Anthony's comment up again. That is awesome. We are celebrating 100 days of good behavior from rapper to baby. Yes, thank you. I think we should clap for that. Absolutely.
Hey, summer's not over yet.
Hey, look, the baby looked at Miles Bridges and said, "Whew, man, let me chill out."
Some of the heat off me. Yeah, no, you're probably like, man, I ain't been in the news for no foolishness in a while. He's looking up his next game.
I'm bored.
He's gonna be at the epicenter grand opening, and that's when he's saving it for, like, you know how the Joker like waited till there was like some big event in the city.
Yeah.
That's the baby. He waited.
The baby gonna shoot out of a car in a cave, man. It's like, yeah, I'm back.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, you doing your shout outs, man? Any more shout outs?
Yeah, no, I'm good.
All right, man. I'm gonna end it. So I do have a shout out and a shout at. I want to shout out the WNBA. Apparently the WNBA's viewing ratings are slightly up, and I hate to say this, but I kind of attribute that partly to the situation with Brittany Griner, but for better or for worse. Now, bottom line is the ratings are up, and I am happy to see that. We all know the WNBA, and I'm not talking shit. I'm just saying that it has been a struggling product for many years. And, many of the people who are fans of the WNBA have been kind of campaigning, for the WNBA itself to market the league better, the NBA to market it better, and just for the viewership to go up. So finally, the viewership is up. I am happy to see it. I check out a few games every now and again for myself. The product is not a bad product, y'all. So, I don't tell people what to do and what to watch, man. I'm just going to tell you that it's just not a bad product. I'll keep it that simple.
The market. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say the marketing is the issue with the marketing is that they're marketing to the wrong people.
I agree with that.
I've always thought this. Whatever you think about the WNBA, who is their target audience? It's not because here's the thing. It's not women. Women don't watch basketball because typically women are in the sports. I know that there are a lot of women that are in the sports, but typically when women are not in the sports, like men are. So women's not the target audience. Is it men? Probably not.
I think that's the hard part.
No, it is. It's basketball fans.
Right.
Most people are NBA fans, and admittedly, I'm one of those people. I don't even watch college basketball anymore. I watch the NBA. But basketball fans will watch all basketball. They watch college, international basketball. They'll watch anything. And the NBA, I think part of the reason that the WNBA season runs through the NBA offseason is they feel like, well, we'll lose viewership to the NBA. People, if the NBA is on, they're not going to watch the WNBA. Right. No, that's wrong. It's kind of like when Seinfeld was the biggest show on TV, you put Friends on right after it. Why? Because you want people to watch Friends, and they did.
It's like when you see a Walgreens on one corner, you're going to see a CVS across the street. It's the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah. You put the WNBA on in conjunction with the regular NBA, market those two together, and you're going to see your viewership. How many times you watch a really good NBA game? You're like, man, I wish I had some more basketball to watch.
Right.
And everything else on. You gotta find another NBA game or whatever. If the WNBA game is on, you're scrolling through your sports, you'll stop and watch that game. The NBA doesn't seem to see it that way, and I think if they did, they would see a huge jump in viewership. So,
all right, one quick shout at before we end the show. I just want to shout at the Connecticut Sun. That was a disgusting performance today. If y'all go out and lose in the first round to this Dallas team, man, I am done with all my professional team. If I can't even get my damn WNBA team to at least win a damn playoff series, I don't know what I'm going to do, man. I need one of my teams to do something. And I'll end the show on that note, man.
It's gonna be,
by the way, the Hornets still don't have a backup point guard, and it's damn near September. I just want to throw it out there.
Facebook night. Okay, y'all have a great we will see y'all next week.
Yeah.
Preseason. We talking about practice, y'all.
Peace. We talking about practice. Peace, y'all.